Hey friends, today I am sharing lower carb pasta recipes that I think are just as comforting and satisfying as their higher carb counterparts. We'll start with my lasagna soup, and I'm going to be using these hearts of palm lasagna sheets. Hearts of palm are actually a vegetable, so lower in carbohydrate and a little bit higher in fiber. They are similar to kind of like the heart of an artichoke, so you can kind of think of it that way, but a lot easier to create into pasta shapes. So we're going to start by prepping our veggies for this lasagna soup. I am chopping up an onion, and then I also chopped up some bell pepper, some celery as well. And of course, you will find the full recipes with instructions and ingredients down in the description box below, so make sure you check that out. I think the hearts of palm lasagna goes really well in a soup. Because they are a vegetable, they are a little bit more watery. So I just find, rather than a traditional lasagna, I find putting them in a hearty soup with all the same ingredients, it's actually a little bit easier to make and just as satisfying. I've heated a large Dutch oven or soup pot over medium heat, added a little drizzle of olive oil, and I just added all my chopped veggies with a couple pinches of salt and pepper. And I'm just gonna allow those vegetables to sweat and cook and become tender for a few minutes. Now I'm going to add some ground beef. I have been enjoying trying out this ancestral blend. It actually has some beef liver cut into the ground meat, but you can of course use regular ground beef, ground turkey, ground chicken, or even leave this vegetarian if you prefer. So I added some garlic to the veggies once they were sweated down, and then I'm going to add that ground beef to the middle of the pot so that it can cook. You could also cook the meat separately, especially if your meat is really high fat content. You want to be able to drain off some of the excess fat. You could certainly cook it separately and do it that way. I just wanted to keep it really simple and do it all in one pot. And so I added some salt and some pepper to the ground beef and just broke it up so that it could cook evenly and become bite-sized. Once the ground beef is fully cooked, you can go ahead and add your seasonings. I'm using some thyme and some oregano, just a really nice kind of Italian blend, along with some red pepper flakes for a little heat. And then I'm also going to be adding some tomato paste. Just stirring and smelling now that all the spices are in there, and it smells so good. And then I also added some chicken broth, because this is soup after all, and some crushed tomatoes. Just give that a big stir, and then we want to bring all of that to a rolling simmer, and we're going to let all those flavors kind of come together and meld together while we prep our lasagna noodles. So this is what the hearts of palm lasagna sheets look like when they come out of the package. I just gave them a rinse because they can kind of have like a bitter taste, so just rinse them off. And then I prepared the cheeses that were going to go in the soup. So very traditional cheeses like you use in lasagna. We've got some mozzarella. I'm using fresh mozzarella as well as Parmesan. I'm also adding a little bit of whole milk to the soup, and I'm taking the rinsed and drained lasagna sheets and I'm kind of just pulling them apart with my hands to make them easier to eat when they're in the soup. And I went ahead and added my cheeses, the Parmesan and the fresh mozzarella, and went ahead and added the lasagna hearts of palm noodles. Just give that a big stir, let it cook again for, 5 to 10 minutes. You can let it simmer even longer so it gets really, really comforting and all those flavors melt together and the cheeses get to melt. And of course, give it a taste test. Make sure it doesn't need any salt or additional pepper. Oh, it was so, so good. I wish you guys could smell this and taste this. Next up, we're making a shrimp and edamame noodle stir fry. So I'm using edamame noodles in place of regular noodles. Edamame spaghetti, for example, in one serving, you're gonna get 21 grams of carbs plus a lot more fiber and protein versus regular pasta, you'd be getting 40 grams of carbs. And here are our vegetables we're gonna be chopping up for the stir fry, but you could of course use any favorite stir fry vegetables that you like. I also wanted to note, make sure you save your broccoli stalks. You can actually chop them up really small. You don't have to throw them out, and you can throw them in stir fries. For the sauce, we're just gonna combine some gluten-free tamari. I like to use reduced sodium. Of course, you can use coconut aminos or regular soy sauce if you like. 1 tablespoon of tapioca flour. This is gonna take the place of like a cornstarch and give it a nice thickened consistency, as well as some sesame oil to give it a really nice sesame flavor. And that's just our 3-ingredient easy stir fry sauce. And just mix it up, either shake it in a can like I did, or you can whisk it with a fork or a whisk. Add some avocado oil to a nonstick skillet and throw in all your chopped veggies so they can sweat down and get nice and tender. In the meantime, you can go ahead and boil your water for your pasta. The other thing I love about edamame pasta is that it cooks super fast. So it only takes like 3 or 4 minutes to become tender, but you can actually cook it longer and it holds up pretty well. I also added some garlic to the veggies once they were nice and cooked down, as well as some freshly chopped minced ginger. Love adding ginger to stir fries. And then for our protein, we are using some shrimp. I love to have a bag of frozen shrimp in my freezer at all times. It just makes for the easiest dinner, and you can cook shrimp so fast. So I actually just add it to the boiling water with the pasta. In the last 3 to 4 minutes of cooking, the shrimp will cook. You can drain it all together and then just throw it in your skillet with all the veggies. Toss in your sauce, and then you want to turn the heat down to low so that that sauce can get nice and thick. Then you're just going to distribute evenly to 2 bowls and enjoy. Our third lower carb pasta recipe is using zoodles or zucchini noodles. So I'm showing you how I make my zucchini noodles here. Now, when you're choosing zucchini at the market, try to go for the biggest, thickest zucchini you can find. That's gonna give you the best result as far as making noodles. You can use the zoodler like I have here. I'll link it down below. You can buy it off Amazon, or any other mechanism or tool that is used to spiralize vegetables. I also wanted to note here, sometimes this can happen where it comes off center and you start to just get those half moons of zucchini versus like the long noodles. Just pull it off, readjust it, make sure it's central, the blade is central, and then readjust, and then you'll start getting more noodles. And it just is amazing how much it makes with just 2 zucchini. And you can cut up the noodles too if they're a bit too long. My trick for good zucchini noodles is to toss them with 2 tablespoons of olive oil, add some salt and pepper, and bake it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes. This makes a lot of sense if you think about it. I really don't like zucchini raw, but I love roasted zucchini. So why not do the same thing with your zucchini noodles? And I think that they taste a lot better when you toss them than with sauces and you're using them as a pasta replacement versus boiling them or just quick sauteing them on a skillet. So I add them to some parchment paper, throw them in the oven, and then while I'm doing that, I can prepare the chicken. So I'm using some boneless, skinless thighs. You could also use chicken breast or whatever type of chicken you like, or any other protein you like, or keep it vegetarian. I just chopped up the thighs into, small 1-inch pieces, made sure they were cooked on all sides and fully cooked. Then I moved them to the side so I could add my mushrooms to the middle. Just wanted another vegetable and like meaty component. So went ahead and added some mushrooms, a little bit of salt and pepper. Just make sure the mushrooms get nice and browned on one side. Added a little bit of garlic and then tossed that all together. It came together really, really fast. Once that's all cooked, you can set that to the side. Your zucchini noodles should be ready as well. You can go ahead and toss in your pesto sauce. I think pesto is a great option. Even Alfredo sauce would be really delicious, or a marinara sauce, whatever sauce you like. I went ahead and went for pesto tonight. I'm using this prepared pesto. I think the ingredients are really good on it. If you can find a quality pesto at your market, why not do that versus making it? Of course, if it's the height of summer and I have a ton of basil, yeah, I'll make it, but this works just fine in a pinch. So you're just gonna add your pesto, toss that in your zucchini noodles and your chicken, divide between 2 plates, a generous portion, and enjoy.